Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. Yes, you are in the right place, and I thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to give it 1 minute to allow people to come in, but in that time, I would love to know who am I speaking with. So chime in on the chat. Let me know where you are listening from. Are you here in Arizona? And if so, which city? And if not, where? Where are you out of state? Are you out of the country? Let me know. I want to know who's listening in here this evening at on tonight's webinar. The other thing I would love to know is, are you listening live or are you listening to the replay? All right, feel free to mention that in the chat, and we will get going here in about 30 seconds. Perfect. Phoenix is in the house. Mesa, Williams, all right. Williams, Arizona. Love it. Payson, Tucson. Okay. Very good. Chicago. Charlottesville. Charlottesville. Is that Virginia? Charlottesville, Virginia. All right. Welcome. Welcome. Who else? Who else is out there tonight? Washington. All right. Washington, D.C., Washington State. Let me know. Fabulous. Absolutely love it. Well, hi there, everyone. I want to say welcome. Welcome to tonight's live webinar, right? No tricks, just treats. It is November 2025, and we are busting the top 7 real estate myths. I'm so glad that you're here tonight. Thank you for spending a bit of time with me. If we haven't met yet, I am Natasha Tomlinson, your Arizona realtor and homeowner advocate, proudly serving the greater Phoenix metro area. Now, I help homeowners sell smarter, keep more equity, and move with confidence without all the scary surprises that come with outdated real estate advice. So, like I said, I see you guys are from all over the place. So I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that information. Helps me know who I am speaking with tonight. Tonight, we are digging in to the top 7 real estate myths that honestly are just holding homeowners back. And my promise here for you is that the end of tonight's session, you will walk away with the truth about selling your home in today's Arizona real estate market. So you might be here for a number of reasons, but some of the reasons I hear is because you've never sold a home before, or it's been, 10, 15, maybe 20 years since the last time that you have sold real estate. And quite a bit has changed in that time. Or maybe you've been watching the market and you're just wondering, is now the time? Is now the time for me to make the move? And if that sounds like you, let me just say you are in the perfect place. The goal tonight is for this to be educational and empowering. No pressure, no obligation, no crapola, just real talk and, you know, real solutions. Before we dive into tonight's topic, let's start with a quick update on what is happening in our local real estate market as we head into the final countdown of 2025. So let's start with the good news. All right. The good news is that interest rates have stabilized. Now, interest rates change daily. Okay. A week ago, they were maybe a little lower than they are today. So they're constantly in flux. Know that. All right. Know that real estate also values are hyper local. Okay. So we can talk about Phoenix, as in the greater Phoenix metro area, but those familiar with this town know that values can be different in Scottsdale than they are in Tolleson. All right. They can be different in Scottsdale and South Scottsdale compared to Scottsdale Ranch or Gainey Ranch. They can be different in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix to Arcadia to Maryville to Deer Valley. All right. These are all Phoenix, but we know that these areas vary depending on location, the product type of home, and specific area and amenities that exist in the area, a number of other things. So now, after months of ups and downs, rates are now lower than they were this time last year. And that's given buyers a little more breathing room. It's giving them a little encouragement, right? Bringing some fresh energy back into our real estate market. If you've been holding off and you've been waiting for the perfect interest rate, this very well may be your window. And we'll get into why that is, right? So, mortgage experts are calling this the calmest lending environment that they have seen in the last 12 months. And that's creating a wave of opportunity on both sides for both buyers and sellers. So let's talk a little bit about inventory, the number of homes available for sale across Arizona. We're seeing an increase over the past few months, especially in the greater Phoenix area and in the Tucson markets. We are shifting away from that red hot sellers markets that we saw right after the pandemic. And we're moving into something, dare I say, balanced, a healthier market. I'll say it. I said it. All right. That means buyers finally have more choices and sellers are competing again. Competition is healthy, folks, okay? It brings out the best in both sides, buyers and sellers. But here's the key: homes in great condition, priced right, and still selling quickly, sometimes within days. So the market, it's not necessarily slowing down, right? It's just becoming a bit smarter, more strategic. So let's zoom in a little bit more regionally. And here's what we are seeing: the Phoenix metro area, still, the engine really of the Arizona real estate market. Places like Chandler, Gilbert, Scottsdale, there's strong demand in these areas. There's a healthy demand. And why is that? Well, that's where a lot of the jobs are, higher paying jobs, a lot of tourism in these areas, a lot of activity, schools, lifestyle amenities. Tucson is experiencing a rise in out of state relocations. Those folks from California and Texas in particular. And why Tucson? It's more affordable, right? You're looking to retire, you don't have as much hustle and bustle as you do in Phoenix. It offers a great mix of urban life and open space. Also, we have the fast growing suburbs like Queen Creek, Maricopa, Buckeye, Apache Junction, to name a few. And those areas continue to attract not only first time homebuyers and families, but many retirees as well, as they are getting more bang for their buck in those areas. These areas are building pretty quickly, and they're also adding new infrastructure, more shopping areas, more schools, more entertainment districts. It's not just affordable, it's livable. Another big trend that we're seeing is the return of seller concessions. And that means sellers are once again offering to help with things like buying down the interest rate, closing costs. Many people with loans, they have prepaid insurance and prepaid taxes. Well, the seller is offering concessions to offset those costs. They're offering to take care of repairs. These are things we really didn't see much of in 2020, 2021, and early 2022. It's a clear sign that buyers are back in the driver's seat. At least they're sharing the space, right? And for anyone who's been sitting on the fence, wondering if they've missed the market entirely, this is the market, okay? It's one full opportunity if you know how to play it. So, Whether you're thinking about buying your first home, moving up, or selling to downsize your lifestyle, the best next step is to understand what is happening in your area, in your neighborhood, not in the nation, not across the state, not across the city, even, but in your specific neighborhood. Hmm. So, all right, let's kick things off with one of the biggest myths out there. And I personally believe it to be one of the scariest ones. And that is, I have to wait for the perfect time to sell. I mean, how many times have we said this in our lives? We have to wait for the perfect person to be in a relationship. You have to wait for the perfect job. You have to wait for the perfect this, perfect that. What is perfect exactly? All right. Have you heard this? Have you heard someone say, "I'm just waiting for the market to go back up again," or maybe "I'll sell when interest rates drop," or again, "I'll wait for prices to climb up again." Why? So you can be in a bidding war with everyone else? Here's the truth: there's no such thing as a perfect market. Real estate is very similar to the weather, okay? Especially this time of year. One day it is 89 degrees and sunny, and the next day it's 72 degrees overcast, and you think there's a storm coming, all right? The market moves in cycles, not perfection. Here's what most homeowners really don't realize: you don't sell based on the market. You sell based on your life. Maybe you have outgrown your living space. Maybe you need to relocate for work. Maybe you just want to cash in on your equity before retirement, or just simplify your life. Those are real timing factors. If you wait for the market to peak, you'll likely miss it entirely, because the only way to spot a peak is when you've already moved on past it. So, I got a story for you. Yes, it's story time. One of my clients in Scottsdale, we'll call her Marcia. Why not? Right? And Marcia wanted to sell her home back in late 2022. And that date's important. We'll get to why. Prices are cooling slightly. And she said, Natasha, I think if I wait 6 more months, I'll make more money. I'll make like 50,000 more. Right? She went on these various websites and came up with this arbitrary number. And she was set on this. This was the plan. This was the way she was going to do things. And hey, ultimately, you are in the driver's seat. If that's what you want to do. 6 months later, inventory increased. Inventory doubled. The number of homes for sale doubled. Mortgage rates increased significantly to the tune of 7.5, 8%. And similar homes were selling for $40,000 less than she originally wanted to list for. So when she finally listed the home, she said, "Man, I I wish I had just trusted my life timing instead of waiting for the perfect market." And listen, here's the thing: she's not alone in that. Thousands of homeowners across the US have learned that lesson the hard way. There is no perfect market, only the right plan. That's why I help sellers look at the micro market data here in the greater Phoenix metro area, neighborhood by neighborhood, so we can identify their ideal window to list based on trends, competition, and ultimately their personal goals. So let me ask you: if you sell in the next 6 to 12 months, if selling could help you move closer to your goals, would you want to know what that personal timing window is for you, right? And if that answer is yes, that's exactly what I cover. I cover that in the free strategy session, which you can book on the link I'll provide in the chat. All right. It's one on one, it's no pressure, it's no obligation whatsoever, just an opportunity for us to chat, for you to have your questions answered, and have a personalized solution to your home and your particular situation. All right. I am, like I said, we're live and I am flying solo these evenings. All right. So we are on to myth number two. I love this one because it gives me a chance to tell you more about what I do for my clients. All right. So here's the myth. The myth is that all agents are the same. Now, on the surface, that sounds believable, right? Because we all had a real estate license, we all took the same courses, we had to take the same tests, right? In order to get our real estate license background check, fingerprints, whatever. It's been a number of years now, something like that rings a bell, right? Um, and anyone can list a home for sale. They have their license. We went through the same training, whether it's in-person school, online school, and people can put it on the MLS, right? So what's the big deal? What makes you so different, right? Or you're a realtor. Ooh. But here's the trick. The gap between the average agent and an advocate can be worth tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket. So let's break that down for you. Think of it like this. Hiring a realtor is like hiring a pilot. Technically, both can fly the plane, but do you want me in the cockpit when the weather gets rough? I don't want me in the cockpit when the weather gets rough on a as a pilot, okay? The one who knows how to use every instrument, marketing, communication, negotiation, digital strategy can land you safely and profitably. So that's what I do for my clients here in the greater Phoenix metro area. Listen, it is not 2010 anymore. It is not 2020, 2021, 2022. The housing market, it moves fast. Buyers start online, and the algorithms decide which listings get seen first. And that means the way your home is marketed, from professional photography and video tours to SEO optimized descriptions and AI powered ads, determines whether your home gets hundreds of views or none at all. Here's one of the things I mentioned to home sellers. If your home doesn't show up on page one of Google or top Zillow searches, it's basically invisible. That's why I build the digital first listing strategy using social media, YouTube videos, targeted ads that speak to real buyer behavior. And that's also why I host seminars like this to educate potential home buyers and home sellers on what works today, not 10 years ago. Let me tell you another little story. Past client of mine, let's call him David, right? David was in Peoria and he listed his home with another agent. They were on the market for about 90 days. They had no offers, they had no showings. And he called me and he's ticked off. All right. There's no other way to put it. All right, I'm going to keep it clean tonight, but he was upset. Let's just leave it that way. And he was ready to pull the plug, right? Now, we had a discussion about what his goals were, what he was willing to do, what he wasn't willing to do. And we launched the digital strategy, updated the photos, a lot of the digital marketing, optimized the ad copy for the searches, for the ads, pushed out video tours in person and on socials. And in 7 days, we had 13 showings and two solid offers. Now, why? Why is that, right? Like you wave your magic wand, Natasha, what makes you so special? I'm not saying I'm special. I'm just saying I didn't just stick a sign in the yard and pray. All right. I launched it. I launched it with data exposure and buyer psychology in mind. Now, drop a chat if you've ever just passed by a listing for sale and thought, where'd those pictures come from? All right. What they do, take those pictures with a Polaroid. All right. Drop it in the chat. I want to know. That's right. Right. Photos, marketing, storytelling, it matters. It matters in today's marketplace. And that's why all agents are not the same. Here's the truth behind this myth: a great agent doesn't just sell homes, they strategize outcomes. So if you're thinking about selling this year, next year, or in the future, don't just hire someone who sticks a sign in the yard and prays. Hire someone who launches off the marketing. Okay. Someone who understands negotiation psychology, understands their Arizona real estate market, understands digital marketing. Yes, someone like me, your Arizona realtor and homeowner advocate. Be sure to book that call. Let me make sure I put that in the chat. Okay. Come on now. I'm telling you to book the call. I should provide you with the link. Don't you think? Here we are. Yes. Aha. Wonderful. Myth number 3 is, if I price my home high, I will have room to negotiate. Have you ever said this? Have you heard someone say this? It sounds logical, right? Right? Because most people, they negotiate down. People like to leave a bit of wiggle room, maybe catch that one buyer who is willing to pay top dollar. But the reality in today's market is pricing too high doesn't attract better offers. It scares buyers away before they even consider your home. In today's market, buyers look online first. They're using filters. Show me all homes under 600,000, for example, all homes under 400,000. And if your home is worth 595, but you decide to price it at 615, just to see what happens, just to see if you get any looks, any activity, someone willing to make an offer at that price, guess what? You disappear. You disappear from search results. You're invisible to the very buyers that would have absolutely loved your home. Buyers are like bees. They swarm towards listings that feel right, that have the right rhythm, the right heat. Overprice it, and you're basically putting a do not disturb sign in your yard. Story time. A past seller in Buckeye, right? We'll call him Jose. Jose learned this firsthand. He listed his home with another agent, listed it at 725,000 when the market supported 655,000. Yes, I said 725, 655. Okay. After 45 days, crickets, bupkis, nada, not one offer, not one showing. And when he called me, I showed him what was happening in his neighborhood, where people was pricing at what it was selling at, the number of reductions that were happening during that time, the average days on market. We had competition with a new home subdivision as well, factoring all of those things into the presentation. We had rising inventory, so buyers were getting choosier, and we repositioned the home. Okay, priced it in a sweet spot. And within 21 days, we had 2 offers, okay, and we closed at 685. He told me, "Natasha, I thought pricing it high meant I'd make more," right? I mean, and it turns out the right price brought me more buyers and more money. Look, that's the trick of real estate. You need to price strategically and showcase your home like you're on the first date. You actually create competition, and competition creates profit. The truth behind all this is a smart pricing strategy isn't about leaving room, it's about creating demand. Buyers don't want to chase overpriced homes. They don't want to say, well, we hope they take our offer. They have dreams and goals as well. They want to compete for fair pricing. So if you're thinking of selling, ask yourself, am I trying to get lucky or am I trying to sell my property? Okay? Because luck runs out. Strategy, however, wins every time. And when you're ready for a pricing strategy built on data, not guesswork, book that strategy session. I left the link in the chat for you. On to myth number 4. I don't need to make repairs. The buyers can deal with that. And I hear this a lot, okay? Especially from sellers who are short on time and short on energy, okay? And I get it. Who wants to fix up a home that you don't intend on living in? All right, it takes a special type of person. We're not talking about the fixers and flippers and the investors. We're talking about, all right, Marcia and Joe Buyer who they don't want to do any of that. They have other things happening in their life. They don't want to deal with fixing drywall, replacing leaky faucets before moving, fixing slips, roof shingles, none of that. But here's the catch. Buyers today expect move-in ready homes, especially when they are looking at your home and looking at new construction. Now, I understand the two can't be compared, but they're looking at this new construction believing that they can just move in and bring their toothbrush. So they want to move into your home and bring their toothbrush. It doesn't have to be everything brand spanking new, but they don't want to tack on an additional $50,000 of unknown things to fix when they move into your home. When buyers tour your home, they're not seeing walls and flooring and cabinets. They are sensing value. If a dripping faucet says maintenance headaches, peeling paint, smells of neglect, outdated light fixtures, hidden costs, and these are what we call micro signals. And they influence how buyers perceive your home's value. Think of it like dating, all right? If someone shows up to dinner with spinach in their teeth and they forgot their deodorant, you might wonder what else they missed. And the same goes for that home presentation. One of my sellers in Phoenix, we will call her Michelle. Michelle was getting ready to sell her 1980s ranch style home. And she said, Natasha, I'm not fixing a darn thing. Deal with it. Okay. The buyers can do all the updates. I asked if she'd be open to a pre listing mini makeover. Okay. About 2000 $2,500 in small fixes. We're talking new cabinet hardware, the handles, right? And neutralize the interior paint, fresh lighting, maybe some plants in the front yard. And she agreed. She agreed reluctantly. She wasn't happy about it. You could see it in her demeanor. But she did it. Okay. That's what I asked for. We're in this together. And she did it. All right. So we listed the home. 2 weeks later, within 72 hours, we had showings, we had an offer, okay, at what her as is estimate would have been. She told me after closing, wow, those little fixes, it made me more money. It made me $22,000 more. And here's what I recommend focusing on if you are prepping your home for sale. I'm not saying fix everything. Again, it's not a new home, but we are looking to neutralize tones in the home. We're looking for lighting updates. I want the home clean, all right? Clean like your pain in the caboose mother-in-law is coming tomorrow and you are scrubbing those floors like nobody's business, okay? We want landscaping cleanup. We want curb appeal. We want small, if something's leaking, We want it fixed. If I go to the electrical panel and it zaps me, we got to do something about that. Okay. Replacing old stinky carpets, deep cleaning flooring. You don't have to remodel the kitchen. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you do need to make the home feel as if it were cared for. Buyers don't fall in love with perfection, they fall in love with possibility. So, skipping repairs doesn't save you money, but it costs you. So, when buyers see deferred maintenance, they lower their offer, point blank, period, or they demand big concessions. Okay. And remember, first impressions happen twice. They happen online and they happen again at the front door. If your home looks loved, if it looks cared for, it will sell. It will sell faster and for more money. So, before you list, let's talk about your home's top ROI fixes, those top return on investment fixes. Be sure to book that strategy session, and I'll walk you through exactly what matters and what doesn't, and what buyers are looking for in today's market. And it's not gray. All right, I'll say that much. Ditch the gray. Done with it. The next myth is one I see pop up every few months, especially when the market gets competitive. Well, I'll just sell my home myself and save the commission. And more power to you. On paper, it sounds great, right? I mean, keep more money in your pocket. In reality, it usually ends up costing you more money than it saves, but go for it. The for sale by owner. The for sale by owner typically sells for less than an agent represented home, according to the National Association of Realtors. And you're like, okay, whatever, Natasha. I got the internet. You got the internet. I put a sign in my yard. You put a sign in the yard. Well, there's a little more to it than that. And if you've gone for sale by owner, I'd love to know what your experience was, good, bad, or ugly, because most for sale by owner sellers underestimate what it takes to get top dollar, from the marketing reach that's needed, pricing data, to negotiating power and liability protection. Let's break it down, right? When you sell your home on your own, you're not just a homeowner, you are the negotiator, the marketer, the showing agent, the photographer, the legal compliance offer, the schedule, the contract manager, the problem solver when things go sideways. That's not a weekend project. That's a full-time job. Yes, I have another story for you. I'm full of them. All right. Homeowner in Chandler. Carl. Carl tried to sell his home himself in the summer in 115-degree weather. He got calls, right? Mostly from curious neighbors and agents trying to get the listings. He finally got an offer, and the buyer inspection revealed a host of issues, and he had no idea how to negotiate those issues. And the deal fell apart. Okay. So obviously, this isn't every homeowner, but this is this one person's experience. Now, he called me a month later. Yes, I had contacted him, just see if he was any interest in selling the home. And he said, I thought I was saving, commission. I actually ended up losing like 8%, right, with the offer that came through the door, because he was just done with it. So he was willing to take it just to get it done. No, now, we relaunched the property properly with staging, virtual staging, professional photos, digital campaigns, print marketing, and sold it for $41,000 more than the offer he received at for sale by owner. Okay, here's something most people really don't think about: the legal aspect, the legal liability of selling your home on your own. Arizona real estate law requires certain disclosures and timelines. Miss one form or forget to disclose something, even accidentally, And you could face major penalties and maybe a lawsuit down the road. As a licensed realtor, I protect my clients from that risk. Now, that's part of the value provided. That is the peace of mind. When you have professional representation, you're not just paying for marketing, you're paying for expertise, for higher returns, and for protection. Trying to save commission, you can certainly do it. And sometimes it can cost you equity. A skilled professional realtor doesn't cost you money, they make you money. And that's why I don't see myself as a salesperson, but a homeowner advocate representing your equity, your safety, and ultimately your outcome. If you're watching this and thinking, okay, whatever, Natasha, on and on and on, but I want to understand what selling with a plan actually looks like, I'd love to walk you through it. So go ahead, book that free, no obligation homeowner strategy session. We'll cover your pricing strategy, staging tips, and ultimately your marketing roadmap. All right, quick check in. Who's still with me out there, right? Feel free to wave at me, drop some hearts, right? Show me some love. Why not? All right, why not? Appreciate it, especially if you're learning something new tonight. And yes, I see so many good questions. We will have a Q&A at the end, so just hang in there with me. Up next, we have myth number 6. If my home doesn't sell fast, something must be wrong with it. So stick with me. It's a bit of a game changer. Hmm, God. Myth number 6, I have to fix everything before I sell. You know that feeling when you start cleaning out your closet? All right, I did it the other day. Oh man, I started cleaning out my closet, and next thing you know, I had things in the hallway, and I created more of a mess for myself than when I with the mess I had when I started with, and it felt like the whole place was falling apart. And that's exactly how homeowners feel when they start selling the home. You start to think, well, maybe my kitchen's a little outdated. Maybe the flooring needs to be changed, maybe just the carpets, or maybe we should repaint every room, or maybe there's a roof or landscaping. I mean, are you living in this house? Are you staying? Or before you know it, the list feels like a money pit. Here's the truth, you don't have to fix everything before you sell your home. But what you should do is focus on what actually moves the needle for buyers today in today's real estate market. Let's talk about what really matters. In the greater Phoenix metro area, buyers today are willing to overlook some small cosmetic flaws, especially if the home is priced right, especially if it has great bones. The goal isn't perfection, it is presentation. You're not trying to make your home brand new again, all right? You're helping buyers see themselves living there. And that often means deep cleaning, decluttering, defunkifying the house. Yes, I said it. Touch up paint where it counts, making sure the home it smells fresh, it feels bright, it is open, and that's it. You don't need to gut the kitchen. You don't need to replace the floors and attract solid offers. Okay. One of the clients in Maricopa, right? I'm gonna call her Angie. Angie was convinced she needed to remodel the house, full kitchen gut, and remodel before selling. We walked in there together, and I said, Angie, these cabinets are solid. All right, they just need a good cleaning, maybe new handles and better lighting in the kitchen. Right now, we listed, so instead of spending $50,000 on a remodel, she spent $300 on new hardware and light fixtures. We listed the house for 575 and sold it. Sometimes selling really is more, less is more. So before you start swinging that freaking hammer around and hiring contractors, let's get that pre-listing consultation with a professional realtor. and understand what fixes need to be done to move the needle and get the home sold based on price points, based on target buyers for your area, based on your neighborhood. And if you're behind on payments or you have limited funds, we can explore as is selling options, cash offers, or even seller financing. Listen, there's always options, people, even if your home isn't perfect. Okay. So, what's one project that you've been debating or just skipping entirely, right? You're thinking, oh, I really love new floors. Well, maybe I'll do new floors in my new place. Or you're thinking about painting the kitchen cabinets. What is that one thing? I'd love to know. Well, remember, the myth stops a lot of people from even getting started. You don't need a TV ready remodel to sell. You just need a strategy. And that's exactly what we built together in the free strategy session that I mentioned earlier. I'll help you figure out where to spend your energy, where to spend your cash. Now, myth number 7. I hear this all the time, and it's okay. It doesn't bother me. I love the banter. I love the discussion. So let's get into it, right? Natasha, I don't need an agent in today's market. Natasha, homes sell themselves. Everyone is online. I do not need an agent. Let's unpack that, all right? Yes, the internet has made it easier for buyers to see homes. It's made it easier for people to get information, some of it misinformation. Now, selling a home is more about visibility, negotiation, strategy, protection, communication. You won't perform your own dental work, would you? Just because you watched a YouTube video, right? Well, same idea. In today's greater Phoenix real estate market, having the right realtor is not a strategy, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Because here's what is really happening right now. The market is shifting, right? City by city, neighborhood by neighborhood. Some areas are sellers markets, some areas are buyers markets, some are balanced. Interest rates and affordability are changing buyer behavior weekly. And pricing strategy is more of an art form. If you price it too high, you scare off buyers. And if you price it too low, you leave money on the table. And nobody wants that. If you're having a professional who studies these micro trends daily, someone who lives and breathes the Phoenix metro real estate market and can literally mean the difference between a fast, smooth sale or months and months of frustration. Once upon a time, I had a client in Phoenix who decided to list their home for sale by owner to save the commission. And they got a lot of showings, right? And after 30 days, they had no offers. Buyers kept lowballing verbal offers, texting over, I take 150,000, I take 175, pointing out repairs that weren't really big issues, okay? But they finally called me, all right? I stepped in, tweaked the pricing strategy, added professional marketing, digital strategy, highlighted the home's strengths online. And within 2 weeks, we had strong offer, and one of them was higher than the previous asking price. So after closing, the seller was like, you know what? You made me money even after your commission. And we always have to mention the commission. That's okay. All right. This is not volunteer work. I do volunteer work separately, but this is my bread and butter. Okay. I like to eat. Right? There is power in representation. And beyond the numbers, there's another layer, legal and emotional protection. Selling a home can be emotional at the end of the day. It's your biggest asset a lot of times. And sometimes the stress of negotiation, it can make people a little crazy, all right, and act emotionally instead of logically. A good realtor keeps the deal calm, protects your interests, and handles the tough conversations for you. So let's be real. All right. When a buyer's agent, a lender, a title company, an appraiser, HOA, the inspector are all emailing you at once, you'll be grateful to have someone in your corner keeping it all organized and on track. So if you're thinking of selling, be sure to interview agents who understand your city's specific market trends, have empathy, not just numbers, and offer modern marketing, video, SEO, social media reach. Because selling isn't just about getting a buyer, it's about creating a smooth, profitable transition to the next chapter in your life. Selling a home without an agent is like trying to perform your own surgery from a YouTube video. You might get through it. Good luck to you. God bless. But you'll probably make it a lot more painful and expensive than it needs to be. So let's bust this myth once and for all. Having a realtor isn't an extra cost. It's a built-in investment in your peace of mind and often a built-in investment in your profit. Quick recap. We have the top 7 myths that we busted tonight. 1, you have to sell your house as is. Nope. Strategy matters. And 2, you need perfect timing in the real estate market. And it's false. The right plan works in any season. 3, pricing high gives you room to negotiate. And pricing high actually drives buyers away. Zillow and other websites know your home's value. And the truth is, it can be a starting point, but it's not the final say. Next myth, hope in houses sell homes. Listen, they are marketing tools, but they're not magic bullets. Have I sold homes in the open house? Yes, but that's not the norm. 6, you have to fix absolutely everything. And the truth is, you need to focus on your ROI, your return on investment, not perfection. And myth number 7 is that you do not need an agent. Reality is a great agent, is your guide, your game changer, your guardrail. So tell me, which myth surprises you the most? Now, I want to take a second and say if you're here tonight, you're already doing something powerful, right? You're learning, you're taking control of your financial future. And whether you're selling your first home, your family home, your inherited home, your investment property, the home you've loved for decades, I see you. Okay. Selling a home isn't just a transaction, it is a transition and it deserves care, strategy, and ultimately it deserves support, which is why we're here tonight to discuss real options, real relief, and real results. So be sure to book that free strategy session in the link there below. During the session, we will review your home's current market value, November 2025, create a custom selling roadmap tailored specifically to your goals, explore all of your options from cash offers, creative financing, traditional listing, and you'll know exactly what to expect, what to avoid, and what your next steps should be. And yes, it is completely free. No tricks, just treats. So before we wrap up tonight, just want to give you one quick story. All right. A few months back, a couple in Mesa, we will call them Denise and Robert, and they came to me a bit overwhelmed. They owned their home for about 3 years and they had a little bit of equity, but they really couldn't sell it. They needed some repairs, and after closing costs, it was going to be upside down. All right, meaning negative equity. They didn't think that they would really be able to sell it. We did a full strategy session. We looked at the comparable sales in the area and created a hybrid plan. All right. More than one way. If we sold it this way, this would be could be the likely outcome. We sold it that way, that would be the likely outcome. a light refresh, light staging, pre-marketing to the buyers list. And after about 2 weeks, we had an offer. They moved closer to family and used part of their proceeds to pay off debt. And they said, Natasha, this is the first time in a long time that we felt some control over what was happening in our lives. And that is what ultimately I want for you. I want control, you to have control. I want you to have confidence and clarity. So whether you're looking to sell in the next month, next spring, or the next year, don't wait for perfect timing. Start with clarity. Let's turn your someday into a solid plan. Because in Arizona real estate, look, there's no magic trick, okay? Just smart strategy and a realtor who's got your back, right? So, thank you very much for joining me here tonight. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, looking for more Arizona real estate truth. I'll see you here next week for our next live session. Same time, same place. Until then, take care and stay inspired.